not take another shot, because you know the shot selection is bad.
I think Coach Tiny has been successful because he demands nothing less than our absolute best. Tiny's greatness is based upon the fact that for the last 50 years, he has brought energy, effort, and 100% of himself to every training session, every practice, every game, every parent conference, every player conference, every life transformative interaction. He is himself 100% through and through. And so when you hear stories about Michael Jordan being highly competitive and it doesn't take much to get Michael Jordan going, and that's every aspect of his life. Tiny is who he is every single moment. He's intense, he's competitive, he's compassionate, and he demands the best from himself and from others. And I think that's one of the secrets to his success.
Through my amputations, I no longer have a left leg from the knee down. I don't have any toes. So through all of those amputations, I had conversations with God to get me through. I didn't think I was gonna get through all this stuff, you know. Having the leg cut off, thinking it's not gonna heal, because diabetes is a terrible disease. It didn't have to heal, but because of prayer and my church praying for me, my pastor, I had to give him credit for that, for praying for me and giving me the confidence of just getting through life. So church, it's a part of my life now. I'm not perfect. Now, we all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, all of us. But I'm better. I think when you know more, you should do better. You know, I try to do better now. Not perfect. I still need some help. I still got that old man running around sometimes, you know, but I try to corral him as much as I possibly can. You know, the more what you feed yourself with is who you become. So I try to become more spiritual, even handling the kids, because I've been a villain.
Dollar short 2 days later.
I met him before his leg got amputated, just a couple weeks before he got the surgery. And after the surgery, he wasn't really feeling training. I mean, he was basically done. He told us that he didn't want to do it. But then God gave him a purpose. So he felt that if God lets him wake up every morning, he will be able to continue training and continue helping kids and just getting up every morning.
Because of his commitment to God, his commitment to being that military person that said, if you go this far, go further. That sports person, that trained athlete that learns how to work through adversities, you know. So that's the kind of attitude he takes when he gets any surgeries. He's down for a while, but then he's up, and then he said, I want to go to basketball practice. So we had a ramp, we had a wheelchair, we had the group that would get him before, and a group that would get him once he got to the park. Then they would help him back to the car, and then I'd be at the end, the person would bring him back, and we had a system. We had to do a system because that was the thing that kept him motivated to keep going. I said if he stayed in the bed, he was gonna deteriorate, but him getting up, going, having purpose, finding purpose, knowing I know what his purpose is. So that gym, it calls him, and I say, go answer, go, just go. Because that'll keep him going. You know, you could quit. What good is that? What are you gonna do? Sit here? I didn't encourage him to do it every day. If the man wanted to go every day, I'd say, just go like Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then you rest on it. But once he was going, he saw he could do it. He was driving without that leg, but he had someone on the end to get him, and we had a plan for in between, and he knew he had AAA, so he could call. But in any case, it was like, I was fearful that first week, because I said, what if the car stops? What if this happens? What if this happens? But as he would get to the end and back, then in and back, and he kind of, you know, God sent you angels, and he had these people that were very protective of him in each journey of that, of the amputation, of him getting the new leg and everything. He always had, God provided certain people that would just die hard to help him and assist him. And so that made it easier.
1, 2, 3. See ya.
I was part of matter of fact, I was the president of the West LA Basketball Association. I was responsible for the training of officials that when we sent them out and when they had been in here long enough that they were able to go out and call a high school varsity basketball game. So what we would do, I know I had Tiny, and if they can stand on the sideline at Tiny and take that and keep a cool head, then they could do it any high school, wouldn't be a problem. And boy, Tiny sent a few out of there. Them brothers, I do believe they had pissed on themselves. A couple of them told me, they said, hey, Brother Jordan, I can't take it. I said, man, it's only his mouth move. I said, set him down.
I was so bad that before the game started, the refs would walk over to me and say, you want your 2 techs now? Or you want them later? You know, in other words, you was gonna get them one way or the other, because I had something to say.
Tiny is a very serious person. Whether he's training, coaching, or just sitting up, he's a serious type of person. And he wants you to understand if you make a mistake out there, that you made a mistake. I said, fellas, I told him, let's get something straight. He knows as much basketball, probably know more than what you guys know. So most of the time he's right when he said you missed that call or that was the wrong call. I said he's probably right.
I would get the rule book every year. I knew the rules. So when I get a ref that was incompetent, I'll check him on it. Oh, they didn't like that.
Tiny, he was good for him. When we found out who could officiate high school varsity basketball by taking them through the little gyms that we have with the LA City Rec and Parks, with Tiny in there coaching.
So when Tiny, or let's go Edmond Tiny Flournoy, started at Dorsey, I just heard that he was going there. And I thought that would be it would be great for the community. It would be pretty tough for Tiny. Head coach Dave Gordon had his own style, and I knew that from going to Dorsey, and I also knew that from my kids that left me and what they would tell me, you know, playing for Coach Gordon. So, and Tiny trying to have his own style and run the JVs like he wanted to, probably was a little rough at first, because that wasn't Gordon's style. But I think he worked hard as he could to do it. He got a lot out of the kids. He brought kids in, and he did what he could. And I think towards the end, when he started calling me, I think he was a little frustrated. And also back then, you have to have something else going besides coaching. They weren't paying us much back then, or if anything. So you have family, and when you're a father, you're the head of that family, and you have to take care. So you had to develop a method to be able to coach, have time to work, have time to spend with your kids. So I think Tiny did as much as he could when he went to Dorsey. And everybody knew him, and he left his legacy. And when Tiny left, administration and other coaches were, wow, I wish I had Tiny.
I like various coaches. You know, I looked at a lot of film. I liked the Villanova coach. I liked him. You know, you gotta like Tark and his success. You gotta mention Johnny Wooden, one of the winningest coaches. Reggie Morris, Willie West. Them two right there, I physically touch them cats. I physically work for them cats. 2 of the winningest coaches in California history. Those brothers right there, I learned a lot. I learned a lot, and you're gonna hear me say that for the rest of my life. Offensively, I learned a lot from Coach West. Defensively, Reggie Morris, ooh-wee. Coach Morris and Willie West, the most influential dudes. I patted myself after them too, because if you put all of their wins together, nobody could touch them. Then I had the chance to be under Joe Weekly, who was a Willie West clone. You know, it was a number of people, but those 2 coaches right there, probably, I learned the most from them cats. From and not so much what they were teaching me, I paid attention to what they were doing. But Reggie Morris taught me how to teach defense. And I keep saying that. Teach it. Not holler it, not scream it, but teach it. If you listen to the instructions, you're gonna be a good defensive player. Because he always talked about effort, desire, not pacing yourself. You know, you gotta wanna play defense. I'm telling you, we used to put a table up. You close out on that table, and you had this thing where you couldn't put your hands through the glass. He called it the glass. So when you tracing the ball, you right here, you ain't reaching. When you close out, don't reach through the glass. You got to be up here, hands on the glass. I take these things and I teach these kids that today. They wanted to get Willie West. Everybody knows that. Willie was winning. He's a winner. I mean, who has a billboard on Crenshaw, a block around from his school with all his championships on it? And this man was, every time he ever went to state, he won. A lot of coaches went to state but didn't win. Not every time. Every time he won. You know, so there was a vendetta. They really wanted to get him. So I was the sacrificial lamb. I got a call one morning, Joe Weekly called me. He said, little fella, they finna come get you. I said, forgive me for what? What did I do? And they accused me of bringing those 3 players in. And so they wrote a rule that said there was undue something, I don't know. In other words, you couldn't do both. I made them all come there. Now, there were 40 players that was going to Crenshaw. If that was a real rule at that time, then I was guilty, because I had a lot of players that followed me to Crenshaw that played, but the 3 that I got crucified for never played for me. So I refused to give up my program. I still have it to this day. So they really wanted Coach West. That's who they really wanted, but they got me. Everybody tried to compare Willie West, who's the best, who's this and this and that. They were both great in their own way. You know, great accomplishments. Coach Morris won state titles, city titles. Willie West won more, but it didn't have nothing to do with their intelligence and what they were teaching, nor their character, or they were great mentors for me. You know, so if somebody asks me, I love them both.
The way it works in college, you have to do enough to let the coaches notice what you can do. But y'all don't just sit out of practice.
The overall impact of Tiny being involved in my career as a basketball player and as a basketball coach is the discipline aspect. I learned a lot going through his workouts and listening to him talk, and the passion that he has for children, for these kids through basketball, because he's seen a lot. And I've always learned we're never going to be old enough to make all the mistakes.
Ain't no sense. You ain't rebounding, Kyle. You worried about it.
So he's trying to teach us through his mistakes and through the kids that came before us mistakes. So he's really invested in your personal growth as a person. He wants you to be good at basketball, but he really cares about who you are.
Come on, DJ. The returning player.
He wants to know that you understand what's ahead of you. And I use those same sentiments that he taught me and learning from him, which is why he's on my coaching staff at our prep school, is to be stern, but be fair. To also love, but show tough love. So I think he plays the major role in terms of like being a father figure in our community.
So it's a certain way to play, man. Like y'all are in the beginning stages of your learning. Before you leave here, you should leave here better than you were when you came here. That's what the prep school is all about.
On my staff at our prep school, LA Premier, Tiny's our assistant coach. He's my second assistant, and he's the guy that's gonna get into the kids. So he's the one that scares you, and I set it up for it to be that way. The first 30 minutes, 45 minutes of practice, I don't say a word. I sit down, and it's the Tiny show. And trust me, you're not gonna like it. Them kids cannot stand Tiny sometimes because you never know what Tiny you're gonna get. You know it's gonna be a tough Tiny, you just don't know which one it's going to be. He may have you pick up a car, walk it down the street. He may have you backpedal in sand. And you just don't know. And it's going to be tough, and it's going to make you think like, why do I even play this sport? But when it's all said and done, you're going to be so appreciative and thankful for what the lessons he taught you, because the man can turn water into wine when it comes to getting kids in shape.
I came to the realization, even with my coaching, that it was God using me as an instrument. You know, there are different types of ministries. I never looked at coaching as a ministry. You know, I'm taking care of God's children. I'm teaching them something that will, if they don't learn the game of basketball, they'll learn the game of life. I used to tell them all the time, you want to win the game of life. And I think a life without God, and forbid anybody that's atheist, that don't believe in God or whatever, I do. And I believe that if he's not involved in what you're doing, that particular part of your life is going to be very empty. If anybody played for me, say that man right there, because they calling me soft right now, some of my old players. Coach is soft now. No, I just think I've learned that you get more bees with honey instead of vinegar. You know, so my Christian background has helped me a lot. And my Christian, you know, my church family, my wife. You know, I went to evangelism school. I took it to another level. I've had evangelism 101 through 105. So I had some teaching. I learned some stuff. I thought I knew a lot until you go study. So knowledge is power. So the more knowledge you get, the more power you have. So I'm really, God has done a lot with me. He's still doing it. He keep waking me up for some reason. And I praise him and thank him for that. If I could do this all over again, I think I would not change anything but me finishing and getting my degree from college. I think that's the reason I didn't move up higher than I've moved up. I didn't finish. The coaches that I'm talking about mentoring me or whatever, they were all college graduates. And they taught at a high level and got paid for it. I coached at a high level and I didn't get paid for it like that. You know, I think my biggest mistake was not finishing school. That's why I'm so hard on my players today when I talk to them about think BA, not NBA. Nothing against the NBA, but I think most of our kids need to understand that the education will be the thing that will open up the door for you to be a pro. And to be a pro has nothing to do with sports. Lawyer, doctor, truck driver, pro means you get paid. You know, and I've gotten paid for some things, so I guess I'm a pro in some areas, but didn't get a chance to play at a high level or coach at a high level because I didn't focus on the education. So my job is to teach these kids not to make the same mistakes I made. I think every coach should be doing that. Marcus, just calm down, just get a rebound, put it off the backboard, don't worry about him fouling you. Don't be trying to move the ball out of the way. Jeremiah, good job, please. But you did all that 1 foot stuff, that's not good. You can beat most of these guys to the basket, most of them. Let's go. Let's win this game. Let's go. Come on. Let's win this game.